And hello, all my fellow nerds out there. This is Oracle Nerd Richie, and welcome back to Lake of Voices. So last time we lost we lost a friend. We lost Margaret. She got taken by the Nixie because she couldn't jump far enough across. And we also met a new person, but we decided not to take them on our journey because if we did, then we would risk our lives again. So I'm assuming that this whole route is just you follow the guide's rules and such. If someone dies in the water, then there's nothing you can do. But anyways, continuing from where we left off, I'm overcome with restlessness. The island may be safer than the bridges, but that is far from enough to ease my mind. I quietly sigh and decide to wait on my own. If I go back now, whoever I encounter will know that I don't want to be alone. That is more troubling than simply staying where I am. I sit down silently listen to the ambience of the island as I wait for time to pass. I can only hope this will all end before I can no longer keep myself together. The sun begins to descend in the sky. The light starts to fade in the fog. I feel relieved that it is almost time to leave this island. A chill slips down my spine. A thought of what comes next, however. Melly soon arrives. He gives me a half smile as he waves.
Hello there.
I wave back and walk over. I'm glad he's here. I don't want to be alone any longer.
Hello.
The atmosphere grows tense as the quiet stretches on. Bamele seems torn between saying something and keeping the silence. Before too long, the guide arrives. His presence snuffs out all chance of conversing definitively. I keep my focus on steadying my breath, bracing myself for what's ahead. All three of us wait in uncomfortable silence until night falls. Night settles like a shroud over the land. Every inch of the world now covered in unrelenting darkness. Suddenly, there's a gurgling. The water parts as the bridges of Sinlos rise, powered by some unnatural force, creaking like they might fall apart. I feel an inexplicable pounding like a hammer in the back of my head, being faster and heavier than my own heart. I clench my teeth to stop from my churning stomach.
We must go now.
The guide doesn't wait for any replies, briskly starting in one direction of the shore. Bamele and I match his pace. We can feel the air weighing on us, sensations that slows our steps despite being rested. Something hovers in my mind, the mirrored memory of the beginning of last night's journey. 1 day ago feels like a lifetime passed. The thick, inky water slushes reluctantly off the boards, bleeding back into the lake, until it finally stills. A shudder crawls over my body as I place my foot on the boards, but I quickly shake it off. There is no other option. We have to go through this again. All tense as day-old corpses, we walk over the bridges in silence. The only sound that accompanies us is the thick lapping of the water at the bridge. Bamele stays close, by my side, with a sour expression on his face. He evidently has little interest in masking his disgust. He murmurs something beneath his breath, but it's inaudible. I decide not to ask about it. It wasn't meant for me to hear. It feels as though barely any time has passed when it is explained that half the night has crept by. We encountered a few sunken bridges which forced us to reroute, while other parts were rotten enough to make us stagger our steps. However, the biggest threat of all is eerily absent. the Prowlers. I haven't seen more than shadowy glimpses of them down other paths. Even those have even those may have even those may have simply been tricks of the fog. I feel I may be even more on edge tonight than the last. Judging by Bemele's tenderness, he isn't set at ease by their lack of presence either.
Why?
I whispered the question softly, almost silently as I scanned left and right across the impossibly empty bridges for any sign of movement. I ponder whether they're still wary from the consuming blaze that lit up the night yesterday, or if there are less dragging themselves across the bridge than usual because many have already gotten what they wanted. My skin crawls with the touch of icy fingers at the thought, and I can't control the sharp shiver that travels down my spine. Bemele catches my concerns. He brings himself closer to my ear.
This isn't right. It shouldn't be nearly this easy to cross. Not after what we went through the other night.
Could they be planning something?
Bemele lightly shakes his head. He speaks with suspicion in his voice as he peers at the guide ahead.
I don't know.
As time passes by, we continue to see nothing but more bridges and fog. Beside me, Bemele is becoming more and more agitated the longer we go without disruption. I can read Bemele well enough to know that his anger is still directed at the guide, rather than the bridges themselves. It was my hope that he would be able to contain his feelings towards our leader, our lead, until we had to put this maze behind us. That is becoming unlikely. I resolve to step in before he grows too heated. There is yet another hazardous argument.
Your concentration is clouded, Bemele. What is troubling you?
Surely you're already aware. It's him.
Bemele glowers hatefully at the guide. I press my lips for a moment before continuing resigned.
I do know that. However, you need to stop allowing that to consume you, or else you could get hurt. Or even...
Bemele releases an exasperated sigh while crossly folding his arms.
That is impossible. I can't stop myself from thinking about it. Everything makes so much sense now.
What do you mean by that?
Recall yesterday. I asked him why he would lead others at all if he was heartlessly going to leave them behind. What if this is the reason? Before, we could scarcely escape these monsters, and now I can't even hear a whisper of one. What if they're already satisfied with what they've taken?
My eyes widen and I stifle a gasp. The situation at hand giving both of us a reason to think on that possibility is absolutely unsettling, but his conclusion is even worse still. The notion of the guide allowing others to die unnecessarily on purpose to make it less dangerous for a remaining few. That is not something I was prepared for.
Even back when we started, the first time we met the guide, he mentioned that at least one of us would die before the journey was finished. Didn't that exchange seem strange to you? He said it as though it was a price to pay for coming with him. The guide is free to do as he pleases. He can and will threaten to leave the entire group behind at so much as a hint of resistance. Nothing is stopping him. He knew this was going to happen. He had to know.
I take a few moments to breathe. Despite the danger, I only bear resist shutting my eyes against the world.
We need to make it to the other side. We must keep moving forward and survive. The guide is our only way across.
My usual reply to Bemele's worries does not make an impression. His eyes are not swayed. He continues to stare into me.
I am saying he cannot be trusted with our lives at this very moment. I need an answer to that, Kika. What do you really think?
Oh shoot, wait, we're being timed. Okay, so wait, I can read it from here. Our choice is, I do not agree, we can discuss at the end, say nothing. We can discuss at the end. Coming to any decision on the matter is impossible right now. There's too much danger and too many unknowns to account for to reach any sort of conclusion. I have no choice but to shut the conversation down. I can only hope Amelia will take it seriously.
When everything is through, then we may talk about it. End of discussion.
Amelia does not battle me further on the issue. His face no longer retains any anger, only sorrow. He returns his gaze straight ahead. Oh, I didn't see it. I thought we were transitioning. Our progress continues steadily, yet we still encounter no significant difficulties.
How much longer until we reach the other side? We've traveled quite a ways.
Amelia's quiet, breaking question doesn't sound particularly enthused.
It should only be another couple of hours.
Amelia isn't convinced. It is not only I who notices. The guy suddenly stops. Eerily, he turns his head to the side and looks back at us.
Is there a problem with that?
Is there?
We progress through the bridges at a much quicker clip this time. Amelia's question was not idle curiosity. He was confirming the fact for himself. The chef known. The guy looks to be slightly irritated over the attitude Amelia has taken.
If you have something to say, you should say it. Unless you're afraid that I'm going to leave you behind.
His statement lands heavily on us. Did he listen into our conversation? There was no sounds to cover our voices. However, I assume we were far enough away from the guy to keep our words to ourselves. He stares with such an icy expression that I nearly freeze in place. Amelia, on the other hand, heats up and grows more hostile. He leaves my side to rush to the guy's flickering light.
Don't.
This is going much too far. I urge him to come back. He ignores me and takes a stand facing the guide.
Am I right? Are you going to leave us behind after what I've done?
The guide isn't bothered at all by Amelia's entering his space. He gives a level answer.
No.
Well, that's grand. In that case, I'd like to know if I'm on the right track about something else. Are the monsters missing because they've already eaten? Or is there some other reason why they've all mysteriously vanished?
The guy pauses for a moment. His eyes close, and he becomes completely still.
It's possible.
Amelia glares at the guy over the admittance. It's as though he heard nothing after the first line and the guy spoke. The guy is unfazed.
If you enter these bridges, all you should expect is death. That is no secret. You need to stop putting so much energy into finding meaning, or else you will end up like the others.
Amelia ends up speechless, caught off guard by the guide openly discussing his accusations. The guy continues at Amelia's silence, annoyance leaking into his voice.
You think that the results would have been different if only I had said more or did something differently, but that is not true. The conclusion would be exactly the same. If Lou hadn't died when he did, he would have been lost at some other point during the trip.
Lou?
Yes, Lou was his name. I had spoken with him in the past. He wanted to cross the bridges. I had deemed him unfit. He was far too desperate and unprepared. There is no helping someone like that.
The guy sounds even more agitated as he elaborates. Amelia seems to be finished with being surprised, his anger reignites.
If that's all well and true, why haven't you died yet? How is it that you've been able to cross these horrendous bridges over and over again without suffering the same consequences as everyone else?
The guy's face twists into a vicious snarl, and he shouts,
I have died! I have no life to give! Everything I am, everything I could have been, was surrendered to this lake. That is the only reason why I'm able to stand before you now. I can show you the way, and I can give you advice on how to survive the perils you will face. That is all I'm able to offer. Is that not enough for you? What else do you want from me? Kindness? Sympathy? It's been far too many years since I was capable of giving anything like that.
He finally stops to catch his breath, though the emotion in his eyes still shines intently. There's no response from either of us. An agonizing silence permeates the air. No one dares even move. Tension is cut as the boards beneath start to creak. My eyes dart down. The bridge is sinking. Rapidly, instinctively, I jump backwards. Oh my god. Computer, not now. Hearing computer notifications. Instinctively I jump backwards, but the new section of the bridge groans horribly as it too starts to tilt into the water. They keep getting farther and farther away with each disappearing platform I move off.
Kika!
I look up at Bameli's call. My chest tightens when I see him. The guide on what has become the other side of the small chasm. I leap back just in time as the bridge under me snaps like a twig. Flitting over again, they keep getting farther and farther away with each disappearing platform I move off of. Dread creeps up my neck, and I nearly lose my footing once I realize what's happening. Desperately stumbling backwards, I finally manage to regain my balance. I use this to leap far enough back that the bridge where I land on doesn't immediately start to fall apart under my weight. In another 3 swift steps, I am finally on sturdy wood. The bridges reluctantly stop, shifting and settle. No trace left of what was the bridge, this huge section of bridge, is a few splintered boards floating in murky water. The lake consumed it. Somehow I'm not surprised. Regaining my bearings, I face what has become my circumstances. I am now separated from Bameli and the guide by a far wider gorge than anyone could leap. My throat goes bone dry as I teeter at the edge of the bridge. My mind wildly scrambling for a solution that doesn't come. I look into Bameli's face. He's completely aghast, darting from one side of the bridge to the other as I pit like a panicked animal. There's no mistaking that he's desperate to help me in some way. However, there's also no mistaking that there isn't any options available to him. He turns to the guy with pleading eyes. All his early hostility sunken in the bridges. I'm too far off to grasp what Bameli is asking, but I get the impression he's seeing if there's another way. The guy turns to me. He's completely cooled down from the earlier interaction, back to his same placid expression. He focuses back on Bameli, who is now gripped him by the cloak. The guide says one word. Judging from the look of pure terror on Bameli's face, I can only assume it was a no. There's no way back to them. The guy frees himself from Bameli's grasp and continues speaking. Bameli still seems horribly shaken at his words. I can barely see him from here, but I think he's quivering. As I watch the two discuss my fate, unable to say anything, fear starts to crawl over me. My arms run cold to freezing. It's not long before the rest of my body follows. I notice Bameli cover his face with his still shuddering hand. The guy's voice echoes loudly across the water, separating me from them.
Go back and take the next bridge you come across that goes west. There may be enough time for you to find your own way.
Okay, come across that goes west. Okay. I blink, taken aback for a moment before I quickly regain my composure. That's right, this isn't over. I still have my lantern with me. The prowlers are less active, and if the guide says that it's possible, it could be true. I nod solemnly at his words and yell back.
I'll meet you there! Don't wait for me!
He bows his head and starts to slowly back away from the edge. Bameli pulls his head from his hand to look at me, even across the water. I can tell that he's crying. I smile forlornly at him as the wind whips against my back. I speak softly.
You need to go.
There is no way he could have heard me, yet I'm confident that the sentiments got across. I spin on my heels to run back the way it came, searching for the bridge the guide said to take. I can only hope that we all safely reunite before the night ends. I spare a brief glance behind me, however, there's not a trace of them, or even a dead end I was stranded at. But with a painful contracting in my heart, I realize I am truly alone now. Quickly, I shake off the thought and refocus my attention on what was in front of me. The first branching of path comes into reach. I skid into a full stop in front of it. The path west is as dark and desolate as every bridge. It it's impossible to see what's down the twisting way. I heard that. The previous conversation comes floating back to me. Now that I'm here, I must face the concern. Is the guide reliable? Can he be trusted? I had to leave so they could go on without me, being weighed down. Without being weighed down. That I don't regret. That I don't regret. However, I can't help but wonder if the guide couldn't give me a proper suggestion because of the sinking bridges. A mistake could have been made. It's also possible that he knowingly gave false hopes to keep the situation calm, or perhaps he intentionally set me on the wrong path because it would have been easier for them. But if I did not make it, I look between the pathways. Based on my direction, it seems as though other options could potentially connect me to them before the West does. Yet I cannot possibly know until I move forward. I need to make a decision. Oh Christ. Follow the guide's path. No, I can't allow doubt to take control. We've known from the beginning that there is only one path that has led travelers to safety. His. I will take the guide at his word. Without wasting an additional moment, I make my way across the western bridge. I walk at a moderately brisk pace, not wanting to risk tripping or running out of energy in the moment where I needed it. If the eeriness of the lake is disconcerting before, now it is overwhelming. The blizzard-like fog drifting over the waters limits my vision to the spans of my arms. The utter silence was a comfort, despite how otherworldly it felt. But the whispering up on the lake has started to stir now. I gulp despite myself. They've noticed me. As our chattering grows, I consider briefly if the others hear them as well, or if they have come out specifically because I am on my own. I straighten my back and walk more surely. I cannot let them believe I am an easy target. I even consider keeping my sword in hand, but it doesn't seem entirely likely that they would realize that it is something that could hurt them. To keep my mind from warding into dark places, I count my steps like we used to in training. 1, 2, 3, 4. Despite my best efforts, things are starting to get to me. My worries wash over me, causing painful twinges underneath my clothes that make me jerk and twitch like a fly-bitten horse. The whispering inhuman voices, the feeling of vulnerability, the horrible thought of being hopelessly lost all melded together and consuming me. My pace breaks from steady rhythm of my chaotic set. It quickens more as I start to succumb to fear. My brisk steps turn to long, frantic strides. Something in me whispers, faster, go faster, don't let them catch you, and I listen. I break into a run, like moving on landmines. Flashes of fear explode in my mind and drive my feet harder, faster, stronger along the path. Until suddenly my sense of reason returns and I stop dead. My chest rises and falls. With deep heaving breaths, I try to calm myself down. The monsters erupt into an inharmonious chorus of what sounds like wicked laughs. I fight the urge to shout back at the creatures. This feels like a nightmare I will never wake up from. I take another breath and resume my measured progress. Even after the first crossroad, I continue with the guide's simple direction, keeping west every chance I get. I have no other hints for this labyrinth. It's difficult to tell how much time has passed, but it must be at least an hour judging by how much energy I've expended. Since I recomposed myself, I have not stopped walking for a second. Despite how much time has worn on, the route still feels like an endless labyrinth. I don't like that noise. I don't like that at all. Then I hear a noise which causes a shuddering chill to creep down my spine. An uneven clicking followed by a squelching sound. It's a prowler. I immediately turn around to look behind me. There's nothing. I breathe out relieved. My ears search for the source of the noise, but but with all the babble the Nixie are making, the direction is clouded. I strain my ears. That's it, the noise is drifting slowly from one of the connecting paths up ahead. I can faintly tell the noise is drawing nearer. The prowler has not yet arrived, but soon his path will intercept my own. I will not wait for it to reveal itself, leaving me two options. I run past the bridge connection to go ahead of it, or I turn back and take a new path. Oh man, I have so many choices to take. So we either run past the bridge connection to get ahead of it, or I could turn back and find a new path to take. I mean, the guide said to keep going west. So, I mean, I assume that the bridge connection they're talking about is the one on the right here. So, if that's true, if I run past, then they probably will notice me sooner. So I have to turn back. But if I turn back, then I'm going against the guide's directions. I don't know, guys. What would you guys do in a situation like this? Like, what would you guys do? Turn back. Honestly, I think it's best to just try to go past it. I have faith following the same path I've been is for the best. I steel myself and build up speed. I get closer and closer to the branch with a lurking threat and pick up my pace so I'm sprinting. I hear a gurgling hiss as I pass through the crossroad. Must have been close enough to be pained by the light. I barely made it. However, I didn't hear any splash. It is still nearby. I look behind me to see if it at least decides to come no further. Nope. Horrified, I realize it's pointedly following me. It is no longer mindlessly dragging itself through blackness. I have become its target. Its limbs bend wildly and unnaturally. It looks as though it's only barely keeping itself upright. Its torso wobbles on its hips. That isn't stopping it from giving chase. Focus my view back ahead and continue to run. My breathing rapidly becomes ragged. I can hear the squishing footsteps of the prowler behind me as it lunges its body forward in an unnatural gait. Without warning, the bridge lurches to one side. Oh shit. Catching me completely off guard, I lose my footing and slam into the damp surface of the bridge. My life falls with me, painfully snuffing out. Flashes of the excited stirring of many voices come from the lake. How? Why? Is it rotting, or did they push the support beams? I'm left with no time to ponder the mystery. The monster draws near. I scramble back onto my feet as it closes in. Grabbing my dark lantern, I resume running to put some space between us again. I open the latch and... oh, whoops. I open the latch on the lantern and pull out a match. I'll have to slow down at least briefly to properly light my flame without it blowing out. With that still in my heels, I must not let one precious moment be wasted. I center my plan. With everything in hand, I begin to decrease my pace. Light the lantern! Moving as fast as I'm capable, I place a lit match inside the lantern. Oil catches fire. As the flame grows, I can hear the awful footsteps behind me begin to peter out. I steal a glance behind me. It has truly stopped. The return of the light seems to catch it off guard, and thankfully it declines coming closer. Just run. After a moment's reprieve to breathe, I rush forward once more. Fighting isn't an option, and I need to get away from that monster. I'm not able to run fast enough, however. A loud screams of prowler latches on my body from behind. I don't to the ground again. The shock is great and the lantern slips in my hand. It's skidding across the bridge, out of reach. Because I came in contact with the light, the prowler drops itself back onto the depths without attacking again. There's no time to feel relieved. Arms of other Nixie emerge from the water and reach upside the bridge, scraping the boards as they try to get me. I try to climb onto my feet, but one of the creatures takes a hold of me before I can properly stand. I'm dragged back down to the ground, my jaw smacking hard against the bridge as the Nix blindly pulls me towards the edge. Other slimy and clawed hands grab onto me as I jam my nails into the crevice of the bridge. I kick frantically at their silhouettes, but they keep pulling me closer to the edge. I curl my fingers around the uneven wood tighter. Despite all my effort, there's no support. My bloody splintered fingers come loose. Shit. I think we died. Water engulfs my vision and heavy and cold, so thick I can't even hear my own thrashing. I try to grab my sword to fight back, but I can't even get it out of the hilt. The resistance against me is encompassing. Something grabs my arm and then my waist. I get pulled to side, from side to side and further down. First one way, then the other. But yeah, I think this is a death, guys. I think we died. Wait, that can't be it, right? Okay, you know what? We're gonna try that again. Go past it. Okay. Light the lantern. Okay, this time save right here. Stare it down. I managed to calm my mind from the commotion and recall what the guide had said when we first encountered a prowler. You don't have to run or fight. You only need to keep moving while keeping an eye on it. I can't keep on running forever, and doing so only seemed to invigorate them further. Oh, it's so freaky! Look at this thing! This thing is so creepy! I fix my stare on it forcefully, and the creature recoils to my relit lantern. Moving at a steady but brisk pace, I continue forward, making sure to check behind me often. It creeps at a distance, however, the thing makes no more dramatic attempts to engage with me, choosing only to lurk. I'm set on edge by its presence, but in a way, it's strangely beneficial. It makes it harder to get lost within my own mind when the tension in the air is so high. Remember my goal as I go down bridge after bridge, making my way to what I can only hope is the way out. Eventually, the prowler halts at the precipice of one of the branches. Frustrated, it paces back and forth on the border as though something is physically stopping it from going further. I decided to take it as a good omen. This journey of mine returns to one of isolation. Even the whispers of Sinlos have ceased. Suddenly, I realize the thick fog in the black sky is turning blue. Dawn is beginning to rise. At this point, there's no use in keeping up my strength. I sprint down the bridge, going faster and faster as I hold out some sort of sign to anything. Eventually, I receive one. The silhouette of land peeks into my field of vision. I can scarcely believe as I blink away the tears. With renewed spirit, I press down on the bridge to increase speed, desperately trying to outpace the sun. The glowing orb peeks into view against the obscured sky, begins to ascend unfeelingly. With each step, the sky brightens ever so slightly more. I race through the oppressive fog and there's a voice in the distance. It isn't the horrified sound of the monsters looming. It's Bemele! He's calling out for me!
Emily!
I shout back at him through the dark, foggy void. My voice comes out a horribly weak wheeze. Between deep, shaky breaths, I'm almost certain he couldn't hear me. I'm not bothered by that, however. I will find him. I'm coming, Bemele. Please, just wait for me. I keep running against the increasing light, and his figure comes into view here on the bridges. Bemele races towards me at a high speed and doesn't slow down when he gets near. He grabs a hold of my side and supports my dropping frame as I slow to a stop. I barely choke out a sentence as I strain to catch my breath.
Why are you here?
I was looking for you, of course. I knew you had to be nearby. You had to be. Don't worry over it. I wasn't reckless enough to go in the dark. I waited until there was some sun and stayed on one path.
He grins at his own planing skills. I go cross at his risky behavior.
The bridges could have sunk.
Despite his admonishment, I'm terribly relieved to see him again.
You are free to give me a proper lecture some other time. Right now, I'd say it's time for us to get out of this damned place. Are you still able to run?
I pull all my weight back to my feet. I nodded at him confidently, though my legs still lightly quake beneath me. Bemele gives me a reassuring smile, something I had come to believe I would never see again.
Don't worry. We're nearly there.
I provide a battered smile in return. The two of us tear across the bridges in the direction Bamele points out, and just as he promised, the end comes into view. Against all the odds, we both make it. I nearly tumble off the bridges onto solid ground. I crouch on the ground and lay my head between my legs, unable to stand. I rest there quietly for a few moments, taking time to allow my breathing and emotions to settle down. Finally, I look up in my lap and see Bamele standing ahead of me. Both of our eyes are flowing with tears. Bamele walks over and sits down in the dirt nearby. He gazes deeply into my eyes, with a gentle smile gracing his lips. No words need to be exchanged between us to know what the other is thinking. I'm glad for it, because I'm not sure I would be able to speak even if I need to. The sound of sloshing and wood lurching catches our attention. The bridge has begun to sink. In a few minutes, only the dock is left. With that, the guy walks towards me.
It is time to leave this place. There is nothing left for you here.
Upon being addressed by him, I rise to my feet. He has a calm look on his face, though there is force behind his sincere serenity. I open my mouth to attempt to speak, however I quickly realize I have little idea of what to say. Do I thank him for this? Should I give him my trust? Was our survival because of him, or despite of him? Even though I cannot know for certain. Then the fog is removed from my thoughts. After everything has happened, it becomes clear. I turn my face to match his serious disposition. There is something he's certainly right of. This lake isn't a place to linger. Going round and round in circles will never help. We cannot submit our lives or our minds to sin loss. For better or for ill, there is only one person who can help those once they are within its grasp. The guide. If he were removed, the place would be no safer. What I must do, if I truly want to defend others, is to keep them from coming here at all. When I return to my village, I intend to make that information acutely known to our elder. For that to happen, we must leave.
Goodbye.
His eyes narrow as he looks over me. I begin to feel uncomfortable under his scrutiny, but for a moment I could swear I noticed him smiling slightly. However, it could easily be a trick of the morning sun. I look away to face Bamele, not wanting to get caught up in this any longer.
Bamele, we're leaving.
He lifts his head at my voice and grins, though his expression quickly sours into a frown. He shows no eagerness to move forward and keep his distance. He still feels regret that it is only us who are leaving. I empathize greatly with him, knowing that feeling is one we will never escape from, even after this lake is far behind us. However, he manages to weakly smile again.
Those words are music to my ears. Let's head out.
Bamele walks towards the forest without even acknowledging the guide. That is for the best. On the whole, we must get away from here. It saddens me to think Bamele doesn't have any strength to become angry, though perhaps he had empathy about this lake, in the same way I did. We will be able to discuss that on another occasion. Despite the firmness I so intently tried to have, my heart swears to waver. Margaret, Lou, they're both still here. I wish to give him a proper farewell. I want to do something. My eyes begin to water and I almost turned back around. No, it is done. I need to remember that. They would never want me to ascribe their lives to sin loss. Nothing would disgrace their memory more. I will keep them in my thoughts, without allowing the lake to poison me. With my steadfastness truly regained, I march into the light, with no hesitation. With a solemn heart, I at last arrived at Hammer. They were grateful to see me, for it was a desperate situation indeed. The urgency meant that my mind was occupied with other matters. I worked tirelessly to aid Hammer's own guards in forcing back the brigaders. But during the moments of calm and when the sun went down, I would remember the lake. Melee was great help during that fight. His outwardly positive demeanor lifted the spirits of many around him. I could see from the shadows of his eyes that he hadn't forgotten what we went through. Nor could I miss the distance that had grown between us. He spoke fewer words to me, and I never gave him many either. Yet he seemed stronger than I had seen before. I admire as well. When receiving payments for his service, the guide must give a report to all those who both succeeded and failed to cross the lake. The name and fate of Margaret soon became known to Hammer. I heard that she was an intelligent, thoughtful person, and urged them to show respect for her passing. I hope that one day I will have the opportunity to let her go to go to her hometown and give my own proper respects. His retelling of events had little to say of Lou. I know that is because he was not meant to be there, and was never one to open up, but it still saddens me to face how I never truly got to know who he was. I can only pray that those who cared for him will learn the truth of what happened. I have not seen or heard the guide since then. He will remain obscured in that realm of fog and fear, a mysterious light off in the distance that is never out of reach of the real world. I worry about when I must return home to my usual life. It will be difficult to continue as things were before. But one thing I know for certain is that my village elder must be told that no one is to cross Sinlos again. I have already told Hammer leaders the same. Not a single more person should have to experience what we did. Its darkness will remain with me for the rest of my days. Though so much was lost, I try to believe that our lesson will keep others from suffering the same way and in the end, something will be gained. Honestly, that was pretty good. That was really good. I like that. And I know there probably is another route where we actually get to know Lou, but I like to think this is probably the canon ending. I like to think that this is the ending that we were meant to get. And honestly, that's perfectly fine. I'm okay with that. Because even during moments like those, there's just simply nothing that you can actually do to save someone. But it's in those moments that we show who we really are. And if who you really are is wanting to be a good person, wanting to try, wanting to save people, then by all means you can try. But sometimes there's just things that are just out of our control, and we can't really do anything about it. And honestly, that's one of the scariest things of them all out there. Even scarier than death, in my opinion. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it for this series. Thank you for playing. So yeah, I think that's gonna do it for Lake of Voices for now, guys. But wait, where's the CG gallery? Oh wow, there's way more in the CG gallery than I thought. There's far more. Alright, I might get everything in the CG gallery on my own time. There's a bonus? Welcome to the bonus events section. There are 3 bonus events in total. One that does not include story spoilers, and 2 that do. The first event is unlocked by getting any ending where Kika crosses Sinlos and reaches the other side alive. The other events are unlocked by getting specific ending. Right now you only have 1 event unlocked. We hope you enjoy it. Magical Night. Alright. Alright, well okay, well I guess there is more to this game that we can get. So, I guess I'm just gonna leave this video here for now. Let me know if you guys want me to get more endings to this game. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to leave a like, comment what you think, share this video with your friends, and be sure to subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss a single notification. I'll see all of you in the next video. Goodbye.
try, but you never do. Sugar, there's a reason